Hello everyone, welcome to Clinician to Mental Health CEO. Today I want to talk to you about how to build an intake process that works. So let's talk about something that every therapist in private practice has dealt with, whether you are a clinician working in the practice or you run the practice, from no-shows to late cancellations, last-minute changes. Sometimes just overall the whole intake chaos. And I know that you know what I'm talking about, right? When you've got that brand new client that you're super excited about, you've put everything in place, you've blocked off your schedule, you've driven to the office, you've prepped everything, your office smells like sage and lavender, and it's time for them to walk in, but crickets. Not only is that frustrating, it's time that you don't get back. So let's talk about how to set up your process in a way that, yes, it holds potential clients accountable, but it also protects your time and sets up a relationship between yourself and the business that you are running. So step one, the very first step is that paperwork must be done and must be completed before that first session. Paperwork before first session. It is important to tell yourself first thing first that if there is no paperwork, then there is no appointment. You need to go ahead and have them fill out, sign the consent forms, any releases of information, their demographics, all the essentials. Make sure you have that. Oh, and if you are accepting insurance, make sure that you have that information as well. And you want to have that because you don't want to start scrambling for that after you start therapy with that client. And you also want to keep in mind that legally, that's actually a very dangerous game to play. If the individual has not signed the consent form, you legally should not be starting treatment. You should not be treating someone who is not a legal client of yours, and they are not a client of yours until they've signed the dotted line. But also another way to look at it is that the paperwork is kind of like the first filter. Now, if you do consultations, even better. So that gives you an opportunity to filter out if this is the type of client for you. But the paperwork is kind of an additional support to that. It allows you to, again, get more of their demographics and really kind of hone in on if this is even a client that you should be accepting on your caseload and is within your scope of practice. And my pro tip for this is, and I think most of us are already doing this, it's 2025, use an electronic medical record system. In my practice, we use Sessions Health. There's a few others out there. If you do that, it just allows a client to go ahead and fill out all of those forms electronically, which is pretty much how we do all medical appointments these days. That way they're submitted. It's easy for you to get that information. It's easy for them to provide the information. Step two. Before they walk into your office or before they log in for that first appointment, verify insurance. If you accept insurance, if you're a private pay practice, then this is something that you can completely breeze over. But if you accept insurance, go ahead and make sure that you verify insurance. I have absolutely more than once made the mistake of not verifying insurance before starting with a client. And what ends up happening is you find out that the person's insurance information is incorrect, so you cannot bill correctly, or you find out that they actually don't even have insurance, and that means no payment. The other thing too is when you verify insurance, you have the ability to help the client identify or just remember that they have a high deductible. Insurance is one of those things that a lot of people don't understand in the way that you think they would, and a lot of people don't realize that they may have a really high deductible. So what ends up happening is they actually have to come out of pocket for your full session fee until they meet that deductible. And some people, if they know that up front, it can actually change whether or not they show up to that first session. So go ahead and make sure that you confirm insurance and coverage and be crystal clear about what their copay, co-insurance, and deductible is. Okay, step three, remind. Now, this one can be a conversation starter, right? Therapy is an investment. Going to your PCP is a health investment. Going to, like for myself as a cancer survivor, making sure that I see my oncologist when scheduled, that is an investment into my health. And as the provider, it is not our role to remind our clients about every therapy session, right? That is as the provider. But you are a clinician who is now a CEO, right? And it may be the business model, it is your practice's policy to provide reminders. You see what I did there? So that is the difference between having your clinician hat on and having your CEO hat on. If you use electronic medical record system, that's pretty easy. Most of them already have a system or a feature that's embedded in there where you can set up and you can customize when your clients get their automated reminders. So for example, we send out a 72-hour email reminder as well as a 24-hour text reminder. And I have recognized over the years that this cuts down significantly on, oh, I didn't know that I had a session. Oh, I totally forgot that I had a session. But it can really cut down on no-shows by having these automated reminders. It also, what I have noticed over the years too, is if someone does need to cancel, when they get that automated reminder, it triggers for them like, oh, I better call my therapist and let them know I actually can't make it. And that gives you, whether you have a 24-hour policy or a 48-hour policy, it gives you enough of a window to maybe put someone else in that spot so that you can still make your money, keep your doors open, versus showing up to the office or logging in for the telehealth session and your client is ghost. Step 4, make sure that your intake process has a payment option. How are your clients going to make their payment for session? For their co-pays or their private pay fees, how are they going to do that? So, is the EHR system that you are using, does it have like kind of a place where they can upload their debit or credit or HSA card? And if so, that is what you want so that you can just go in and run payment, or you can set up the system where it just automatically runs the payments for you. 5, be human at your intake. Build that therapeutic connection. Don't be robotic. This one is very important because the way that you deliver that connection can really also solidify if that client shows up for that very first session. Talk a little bit about yourself, humanize yourself. You can talk about your credentials, you can talk about your skills, but also share a little bit about how you even narrow down your niche. I'm a cancer survivor, so sometimes if I have an intake with a client who has had health issues, chronic illnesses, or is also a cancer survivor, I will share some of that. Of course, self-disclosure has to be used appropriately. I'm not going to share details on where I got treatment, who my oncology is, what medications I'm on, none of that. But it is okay to say, hey, from survivor to survivor, I understand why therapy is going to be important for you. Lastly, to make the intake process as smooth as possible, just automate as much as you can. In this day and age, we should be using technology to our fullest advantage. Go ahead and automate reminders. You can automate paperwork links, pre-schedule your welcome emails. I mean, the list goes on and on of all the different things that you can automate. And the reason I like this is because it also builds consistency. You don't have to go in and set your own reminders to remind yourself, to remind a client to complete their paperwork. These systems, technology will do it for you. Okay, so to recap, you want to remember paperwork before session. Verify insurance or payment. Then you also want to set clear parameters around how payments are accepted. Make your intake process human and then automate wherever you can. Let's be real. You did not become a therapist and you did not open a private practice to chase people down and argue about deductibles. I've been there. It's not fun. So if you found this video helpful, please make sure to hit that like button. Also make sure to subscribe for more tips on how to go from clinician, therapist to CEO. Till next time.